I'll discuss Unit 6 of May-June 2019. So in the first question, this is similar to what you have studied in AS, like O levels about identification of the ions. So in the first part, the first question, this compound is about 5 inorganic compounds A, B, C, and D. So there are 5 inorganic compounds listed A, B, C, D, and E. A and B contain an S block element. S block element means either it is group 1 or it will be group 2. In a flame test, A give a yellow color while B a yellow red color or flame color. Identify the S block metal ion in A and metal ion in B. So what could be a metal ion in A, as it is giving a yellow color? So yellow color is due to sodium. If it was potassium, then it will be lilac. So the metal ion A, that is sodium ion, and brick red or yellow red color is due to calcium ion. Give a color of the precipitate formed when concentrated sodium hydroxide is added to aqueous solution of a B. When we add sodium hydroxide, what it gives when you have a calcium compound, group 1, 2, or 3, their compounds are white solid. So if they will form a precipitate, what will be the appearance or the color of this compound? It will be a white solid. Then compound A is a carbonate. So we already identified the sodium, and the second ion, which is the N ion, it is carbonate. Write an ionic equation for reaction that take place when dilute hydrochloric acid is added to aqueous solution of A. So when we are writing an ionic equation, a carbonate ion is there. So CO3 with a valency or the charge of -2, it reacted with hydrogen ions from the acid, and what it will result in a formation of carbon dioxide plus water, H2O. An equation must be balanced, so we'll have two carbonate, sodium carbonate will be aqueous, hydrochloric acid aqueous, carbon dioxide will be gas, and water will be there as a liquid state. Compound B is halide. Halide means that it contains a halogen, so we already know calcium is there. With calcium, halogen is there. Identify by name or formula reagent that could be used to test the halide ion in aqueous solution of B. So how we can test a halide ion, or how we can test chlorine, chloride, bromide, or iodide ion? So normally what we do, we add silver nitrate, or lead nitrate can also be added. So when we are testing the halide ion, we are adding silver nitrate. If it is chlorine, it will give white precipitate, aqueous silver nitrate. If it is bromine, it will give cream color precipitate, and iodine is there, it will form yellow precipitates. Compound C, D, and E are nitrates of block D. So D block elements, it means the transition elements are there, and they all are nitrates. An aqueous sodium hydroxide is added drop by drop until an excess to separate the solution C, D, and E. Compound C forms of white precipitate which darken on stand in air. Identify the precipitate by name or formula and explain why it darken. So what is the reason why it darken? Basically, these precipitate are due to manganese hydroxide. And why it is darkened? Because this manganese hydroxide or it is oxidized or reacted with the surrounding air. That's why the color of these precipitate changes. So what are the precipitate form? off-white precipitate are due to manganese hydroxide, and white darken because it react with surrounding oxygen, or it is oxidized, or oxygen is added, or increase in oxidation number. Compound D forms a white precipitate which dissolve in excess of sodium hydroxide to form a colorless solution containing a complex ion. Write a formula of this complex ion. So basically what happened, a compound D which is forming a white precipitate which dissolve in excess. So white precipitate dissolve in excess of sodium hydroxide, and it is a transition, a D block element is there. So for the D block, because the precipitate, it can be, you have a lead precipitate, you have aluminum precipitate, and you have zinc. So for zinc, what happened when you add sodium hydroxide 5 drop, it will form precipitate. When you add an excess, the precipitate dissolve to form a colorless solution. So what will be the formula of the precipitate when you write? Because we have to write a formula in excess of sodium hydroxide to form a colorless solution containing a complex ion. So if first when we add a small amount of sodium hydroxide, so zinc was there, reacted with sodium hydroxide, it will form zinc hydroxide. That will form white PPT. And how these compounds, these transition element exist in the solution, they exist as a complex. What is the meaning of complex? Means like a dative bond is there, water molecules are surrounding them or attracted towards this zinc ion, and it forms zinc. So 6 water molecules are initially surrounding it. This hydroxide ion will accept 2 protons from water molecules, so it will become zinc hydroxide and 4 water molecule remain. When overall charge on this complex is 0, it means it will form a precipitate. But how the precipitate dissolve, or dissolving of the precipitate, when a complex is having a charge on it, there is a net charge. So when we add an excess or more than enough, so more protons are being lost from here. So a greater number of protons are reduced. So we'll have zinc hydroxide will be there, but now 4 or 3, and then 2 water molecules. So what will be the net charge? Zinc is +2, hydroxide is -1. So the net charge on this will be -2 or 2 minus. So as the net charge is 2 minus or -2, that is why it will dissolve. If a complex is having a charge, it will dissolve. If it is not having charge, then it will be a precipitate. Is it clear, this part till now? If any part you find it difficulty, you can just mention, I will repeat that. Compound E forms a green precipitate which does not dissolve in excess of sodium hydroxide. The green precipitate turned brown on standing in air. Identify by name or formula compound E and brown solid which is formed. So basically what happened, first when you add sodium hydroxide, it is forming a brown precipitate, green precipitate, and these green precipitate turn brown on standing in air. So basically which element precipitates are green and then insoluble in excess. So for iron, the iron 2, it is actually forming a green precipitate, and when you leave it in air or left in air, it will be oxidized to iron 3. So when it is oxidized to iron 3, the green precipitate will turn into brown solid. So identify compound E. They already mentioned C, D, and E all are nitrates, and this test green precipitate which does not dissolve in excess shows it is iron 2. So that is iron 2 nitrate. And why it turned brown? Because when we add sodium hydroxide, this iron 2 will form iron 2 hydroxide. Iron 2 nitrate was there, but that was a soluble salt solution. We add sodium hydroxide. This will result in a formation of iron hydroxide or iron 2 hydroxide, which is a green PPT. And this green PPT, when we left in air, the iron 2 oxidized to iron 3 hydroxide. That is why it will turn brown. So the compound in the beginning, the compound E was copper iron 2 nitrate, and the brown solid is actually iron 3 hydroxide. Is it clear, this part? So it is related to memorization of the table, identification of ions, the transition element. So you have to learn the observations and you should be able to write a formula for the precipitate. In question 2, this question is about three organic compounds X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z have the same molecular formula C6H12O. The table shows the observation made in some chemical test. Compound X with sodium metal. Sodium metal is actually a test for alcohol, OH ion. Bromine water is a test for carbon-carbon double bond, unsaturated. Acidified potassium dichromate, it is an oxidizing agent. It can be like added to alcohol. Alcohol can be oxidized or aldehyde can be oxidized. So this is a test for basically alcohol or aldehyde. Brady's 2,4-dinitrophenyl hydrazine is a reagent which is used to test the carbonyl C double bonded with O. Means it can be aldehyde or it can be ketone. And iodine with aqueous sodium hydroxide, it is used to test that next to the functional group, if alkyl group is present, then it will give a positive result. So these are the observations given for X with sodium metal, no change; with bromine water, no change; with acidified potassium dichromate, no change. Brady's reagent, it is giving a orange precipitate and yellow precipitate is there. So what this confirmed or what it shows for X, it shows it is a carbonyl group. Because the carbonyl 2,4-dinitrophenyl hydrazine, it's giving a positive result. So it shows that the carbonyl group is present, and we have to draw the structure for this. And the last test, pale yellow precipitate, this gives an idea that next to carbonyl there is an alkyl group, and we have to just draw the structure, state what can be deduced about X from the positive test result. So what can be deduced about the positive test result? We can say that it is containing a carbonyl group, and next to carbonyl group there is alkyl group. The two positive tests shows this idea. Or adjacent to carbonyl group there is methyl group. Name the functional group present in Y. So how to work out the functional group present in Y? Sodium hydroxide, it is effervescent, so OH group is there. It is decolorizing the bromine water. It can be oxidized, but it is not carbonyl group. Having a carbonyl or methyl group is not next to the functional group. So what we can deduce about Y, we can say that because it is decolorizing the bromine water, so there is a carbon-carbon double bond or unsaturated hydrocarbon, and it is reacting with sodium, so it shows that there is OH is present within the structure. Complete the equation for the reaction between Z. Complete the equation for reaction between Z and sodium metal. So Z and sodium metal, what is Z? It is giving effervescence. So means it is an OH group. And when sodium is reacting, it will form a precipitate and the temperature of the solution will increase and one of the hydrogen will be replaced by sodium. So one of the hydrogen will be replaced by sodium. So it will be C6H11O with a charge minus and sodium will be plus hydrogen will be there as a gas. Then you can balance the equation. Even just I have to balance hydrogen, so I can put a half here which will balance this equation. This is related to AS. If you remember, when for alcohol if we add a sodium metal, we'll observe the size of the sodium metal decreases, it will give phase bubbles, the temperature increase and result in a formation of white PPT. The high resolution proton NMR spectrum of compound X has only two peaks, which are singlet with a relative peak intensity of 1 is to 3. Means this 1 is to 3 shows the ratio of the hydrogen. One region there are like 3 times hydrogen more than the other region. What can be deduced from the presence of only two peaks in NMR? So if there are two peaks, what we can say about two peaks? Number of the peaks in NMR shows the hydrogen environment. So what it shows there are two hydrogen environment or two proton environment. Because why for hydrogen we call proton as well? In this case, because the spectrum, the distribution in magnetic field is due to the proton, or net magnetic field is due to the proton. So we can say two proton environment, or we can also say two hydrogen environments are there. State what can be deduced from the fact of these peaks are singlet. Singlet, look, for example, if I have CH3 and next to that is C double bonded with O and then CH3 is there. So you can see when I take this environment, this is not the structure of X, I'm just giving example. If this is the environment, next neighbor is no neighbor hydrogen or protons are there. So what I will get a singlet, because the splitting pattern depends on n plus 1. So if neighbor is having zero hydrogen environment, then the peak will be a singlet. So what can be deduced from the fact that these peaks are singlet? So what we can say that there are no neighboring protons or no neighboring hydrogen. That is why it is giving a singlet. If there were neighbors, then it will be n plus 1 peak will be there. Like if neighbor is having 2 hydrogen, then it will be 3 peaks splitting. Use the NMR information, your answer to A1 and the molecular formula, deduce the structure of X. So basically X, Y and Z all are isomers with C6H12 and O. So C6H12 and O. And X is having an aldehyde carbonyl group C double bonded with O. If it was an aldehyde, then it should be oxidized here, because aldehyde can be oxidized to carboxylic acid. So, but it is not oxidized by oxidizing agent. So we are confirmed that it is a ketone. Carbonyl group is there, but aldehyde and ketones both are carbonyl group. But because if it was an aldehyde, it should be oxidized. It's a ketone. That's why it is not oxidized by acidified potassium dichromate 6. And yellow precipitate shows next to carbonyl group there is a methyl group, or next to the functional group there is a methyl group. So when we deduce the structure, so first we know C double bonded with O will be there, and next to that will be CH3. So this will give a singlet peak. Then according to the question, they mentioned we are getting two singlet peak and the ratio is 1:3. So if this environment, if I say this is environment A, if this is having 3 hydrogen, the other environments will have 9 hydrogen, because so how the other environment can have 9 hydrogen and still there is a singlet? So it means the carbon which is attached next to this is having 3 alkyl groups, methyl groups. So these are two different hydrogen environment, because CH3 next to C only, and here CH3 next to C double bonded with O. So environment B, this is environment B. The first one was environment A. And when we compare the hydrogen in environment A to B, environment A was having 3, environment B is having 9. So the simplest ratio is 1:3. So this is a possible structure for compound X. Is it clear how we deduce the structure of compound X? Compound Y is a straight chain and does not have geometrical or optical isomer. So it means there is no chiral carbon, and if it is not having a geometrical isomer, it means there is no restriction in rotation, or identical groups are attached to a carbon which are having a double bond. State what can be deduced by the from the fact that Y does not have a geometrical isomer. So what we can say, that if a compound does not have a geometrical isomer, so we can simply say that there are carbon-carbon double bond and identical groups are attached to the two carbon atom which are having a double bond. That's why there is no geometrical isomer. Like if there is C double bonded at C, the two groups which are attached to one of the carbon are identical. It can be any group, like if this is hydrogen, this one will also be hydrogen. Other one may be same, may be different, but if the two groups which are attached to a carbon having a double bond are different, then it can have a geometrical isomer. Otherwise, if they are identical, there is no restriction in the rotation. We cannot identify or distinguish, so it does not have any geometrical isomer. State what can be deduced from the fact that Y does not have optical isomer. So to be an optical isomer, the carbon which form a bond should have all the bonds with different groups, different chains. So if it is not having an optical isomer, so what we can say that all the four groups which are attached to carbon are not different. They may be same or identical, or it does not contain any carbon atom with different groups. Use the information about Y, your answer to A2 and the molecular formula, deduce the structure of Y. So we have to deduce again C6H12 and O. So this gives effervescence are there, double bond is there, and acidified potassium dichromate turned. So it means it can be oxidized as well, and no change and no change. And we want identical groups like, because it is not having any optical or geometrical isomers. So if we deduce the possible structure of C6, H12 and O, so there should be a carbon-carbon double bond will be there. and that carbon-carbon double bond should have same links like hydrogen. So double bond with the first carbon should be there, and then there is no chiral carbon. So if I draw this carbon-carbon double bond, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, then OH group will be there, and it should be a primary or secondary, but it cannot be tertiary because oxidation happens. So I can make primary or I can make secondary, but I cannot make tertiary. So this is a possible structure of compound Y, in which there is no chiral carbon. Why no chiral carbon? Because one carbon should have 4 different groups attached to it, but because there is no chiral carbon or no optical isomer, so it can have identical groups attached. Then the third one, deduce the type and classification of the functional group present in Z using the observation from the table. So what we can say from the table, if it is giving effervescence bubble, so it means OH group is there and nothing else than this one. So what we can deduce, or what we can say, OH group is there but it cannot be oxidized. So this confirms the presence of OH, and this confirms it cannot be primary or secondary. It can only be tertiary. Why not primary or secondary? Because primary and secondary can be oxidized, tertiary cannot be oxidized. So this gives an idea that this is a tertiary alcohol. Tertiary alcohol means a carbon which is attached with OH group having 3 alkyl chains. So what we can classify, deduce the type and classification of functional group. So it is a tertiary alcohol. Compound Z contain 5 member in a carbon in a ring. Deduce the structure of using the information deduce in D1. So 5 carbon in a ring first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we want to make it tertiary. The structural formula you have to draw. So you can draw the structural formula as well. This will be CH2 and the molecular formula C6H12 and O. So 6 carbon atoms should be there. 5 we already drew. Now we also want to make it tertiary. So how we can make a tertiary? If I attach OH with this one and another CH3, that will make it tertiary because the carbon which is bonded with OH is having a 3 alkyl groups. So this will become tertiary alcohol, which is also a cyclic as shown. So this is a third isomer of C6H12 and O. This question is about analysis of iron supplement used to prevent or treat iron deficiency. A student used the following procedure to analyze iron in the tablet. Grind up 2 iron tablets in a little of dilute sulfuric acid using a pestle and mortar. Transfer the resulting paste into 100 cm cube volumetric flask. Rinse the apparatus, use a dilute sulfuric acid and transfer the washing. Add dilute sulfuric acid to a volumetric flask to make up to 100 cm cube. and then stopper the flask and invert several times to make it thoroughly mix. Use a pipette transfer. We make a solution of 10 cm cube, but we make a solution of 100 cm cube, but for titration we only took out 10 cm cube. And then we titrated with acidified potassium dichromate. It's already acidified, acid is there, potassium dichromate is added. So this is a reaction as shown. Give a reason why the titration in step 4 does not require the addition of indicator. So why we do not indicator here? These are self-indication reactions, because what happened? Manganese when it is +7 and manganese when it is +2, they have +7 is purple and +2 is colorless. So what happened? This is a self-indication titration in which the reagent itself show a color change, or self-indicating titration. Color change will be there at the end of a reaction or endpoint. That's why we are not adding any indicator. This one is purple and Mn2 is colorless. Give the color change at the end point. So what will be the color change at the end point? Basically what happened, in a conical flask you have an iron 2 sulfate, and from the burette you are adding potassium manganate. That is purple. So when you add, reaction will occur. So when they are reacting with each other, you don't originally this solution is colorless. When they are reacting, the product is formed, that is also colorless. Once all of the iron is used up, there is no more iron left behind. Then what we will observe, when we are adding an extra potassium manganate or manganate ion, it will not react and the solution will turn purple. Why? Because of, you can mention normally, because small amount is there, so pink is the right word. If it is concentrated, then it is purple. Normally it is pink in color. So what we'll observe, the color change will be from colorless to pink. Because why? In the beginning, as there was no reaction, there was a reaction, but when they are reacting, resulting a formation of a colorless substance. Once there is no reaction, so manganate ion, which is purple in high concentration and pink in low concentration, that's why the color changes from colorless to pink. The student decided to take the burette reading from the top of a liquid level rather than from the bottom. Suggests the effect on, look, if a student is reading the upper meniscus, both time he is using the upper meniscus, or both time he is using a lower meniscus. So it will not affect the result. Why it will not affect the result? Because the difference will be same. Like if I say this is the initial burette reading and the final burette reading. So upper meniscus example is 20 and the lower meniscus is 19. Upper meniscus example 16, lower meniscus is 15. So when we take a difference, if student is reading only the upper meniscus, so 20 minus 16, what we will get? We'll get 4. Same thing if 19 minus 15, reading a lower meniscus, I will also get 4. So what it shows, if I'm reading the same meniscus and I calculate a difference, it will not make difference to the titer value or the result. So reason is because it will not affect the value, because the difference will remain same. The results of a titration are given in the table. A burette reading is there. Complete the table and use a concordant value to calculate the mean titer. So when we complete this burette reading, So this will be 10 point, when I take a difference 10.5, 10.55, 21.4 minus 85. Yeah, 10.55 will be there, and 31.6, this will be 10.2, and 42.4 minus 32.10, that will be 10.3. So these are the results. When we take an average or mean value, look, if you check, because when we take a mean title, the reading in calculation, taking an average, zero point 0.1 more or zero point 0.1 less is considered as accurate. So what we have to do, as you can see, first result was 10.85. So it is not, will not use to calculate the average. The second is 10.55, but the third and fourth, 10.2 and 10.3, so they are within 0.1. So we'll take only these two values to take an average. And these two will neglect, because the first value is normally a range finder, second value may be student, maybe overshoot or added too much, more than enough. So 10.25 will be the average value. Use your mean titer information. Calculate the mass of iron 2 sulfate present in one tablet. So first, using a concentration and volume, you will get the moles of potassium manganate. After getting the moles of potassium manganate, what we will do, we will use the ratio, because the ratio between the reaction of potassium manganate and iron 2, that is 1:5 according to equation. So we'll get the moles of iron 2, but that these are the moles of iron 2 in 10 cm cube. We took out only 10 cm cube. So from 10 cm cube we'll multiply by 10 to get the moles in 100 cm cube. Now we have the moles in 100 cm cube. After getting a moles, multiply by molar mass of iron sulfate, hydrated iron sulfate, FeSO4.7H2O. So moles multiplied by molar mass will get the mass in gram. And this is the mass in gram. As you can see, the first part of the question, student crushed 2 tablets. This will be the mass in gram for 2 tablets. So the final mass will be divided by 2. So you will get the mass for 1 tablet. Is it clear? This whole part, the last one. Any doubt in this? To everyone, is it clear? The uncertainty in the burette and the pipette is 0.05 and 0.06. Calculate which piece of apparatus give the greater percentage uncertainty. So when you calculate the percentage uncertainty, so when you are using a burette, it will be 0, because burette you read it twice. So 0.05 multiplied by 2 divided by value of the value which you record, the mean titer, which is 10.25. So for burette, 0.05 multiplied by 2 divided by mean titer into 100. And for pipette, 0.06 divided by 10, because using a pipette you are taking 10 cm cube, into 100. So you will calculate and compare which one is giving a greater percentage according to the